Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and look, week 5 has wrapped up, so we're moving on to week 6, and my record so far, I'm pretty impressed with this, guys. My record going into week 6 is 46-34, and I'm hoping to build on top of that, guys. So without further ado, let's get into these picks. So for our Thursday night game, we have yet another game that, unless you're a fan of these teams, nobody cares about. We got the Bears versus the Redskins, or the Commanders, whatever. Granted, look, both of these teams are just not good. I picked the Commanders to win last week. I knew I should have regretted that when I did it. I just can't really see the Commanders winning this one either. Look, Ron Rivera put it plain and simple, or it kind of got taken out of context, but in layman's terms, no, he blamed the quarterback for the reason that the Redskins or the Commanders are in the situation they're in. Granted, it's a couple more things, but I mean, overall, yeah, I'd say Carson Wentz is the reason they stink, but Carson Wentz was going to stink no matter what. Like, you guys knew that going into the season. I don't know why it's a big surprise to you now. Granted, at some point, it'd probably be time for Sam Howell to play. I wouldn't be surprised if this were the game. Wentz hasn't really had them in like too many bad situations. They just either stunk or, you know, they've been competitive up until a certain point and Wentz has lost in the game. So I'm not necessarily sure if it's Sam Howell time, like the way Mitch Trubisky had to be pulled. But look, the Bears are at home. They're debuting new uniforms, and for those reasons only, I'm just going to pick the Bears. Like, I just don't. I think the Commanders and the Bears, this would be a more entertaining game than last week's Thursday night game was against the Broncos and the Colts. But at the end of the day, I just really think the Bears are going to pull this one out, or the Bears are going to either get a stop and pull this one out, or the Commanders are going to go up by a certain amount of lead and just choke. I think I'm willing to bet on either one to happen. Either way, I got the Bears winning this one 24-23. All right, for our first Sunday night, well, not Sunday night, for our first Sunday game, we have the Patriots versus the Browns. And look, Billy Zapp got his first, I think it's Bailey Zapp. Zapp, period, got his first career win like I thought he would. And now they're going into Cleveland to play the Browns after they just came off a close, heartbreaking loss to the Chargers. And I mean, I'm going to pick the Browns for that reason. Look, the Browns have looked pretty good. The Patriots actually looked very good last week, you know, stopping one of the highest scoring offenses in the league. Granted, it is the Lions, and as much as we were wanting to praise that highest scoring offense in the league thing, we knew at some point, like, that was probably going to stop because they've only played, like, very bad defenses in the beginning of the season. So, I mean, now they're playing against the Patriots who are, well, they played against the Patriots who are a much better defense, and they put them in place. So, the Lions, look, the Cleveland Browns are not a pushover team by any means. Jacoby Brissett can do enough to get it done. Nick Chubb is a stud. Amari Cooper is Amari Cooper. Now, granted, the Patriots can probably make it a competitive matchup. That at the end of the day, look, I think the Browns are going to bounce back from that loss last week, and I think they pull this one out 31-26. All right, so next up we got the Jets versus the Packers. Look, the Packers are coming off a heartbreaking loss against the Giants, and the Jets are coming off a win. I can't call it a great win because they played the backup of the backup, but they're coming off a win. And essentially, look, the Jets are going into Lambeau Field this week. Aaron Rodgers definitely knows he needs to bounce back. Already seen this story a million times. Look, the Jets are not playing the Dolphins. They're not playing the backup of a backup. You're playing Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully, the Packers can realize that running the ball will actually win you the game if you're up a certain amount of points. You got to run the clock down instead of thinking your receivers are back and you got Devontae Adams on that side or out there on the field with you. No, you don't have him. These receivers still got to get used to stuff going on. Run the ball and you will win the game. Look, the Jets are a talented team. The Jets have a lot of talent. They have a long way to go still. Like I said, they beat the backup of a backup last week. Honestly, if Teddy Bridgewater was out there, they probably would have beat him too. So I think Tua was the only person that was probably stopping the Jets from getting that win last week. But either way, I got the Jets going into Lambeau Field, probably taking this L. So I got the Packers 26, Jets 23. All right, so next up we got the Vikings versus the Dolphins. Look, speaking of the backup, Skylar Thompson, the backup of Teddy Bridgewater and Tua Tagovailoa, is starting this week. And for all those reasons and so many more, guys, all you need to know is the Vikings are going to win this game. Look, I know the Vikings they've looked on and off. They've had like an on switch and definitely an off switch, highs and lows all season. But look, as long as Tua Tagovailoa is not out there on the field, I'm not sure the Dolphins are capable of doing much against the Vikings at all, man. I mean, they just haven't looked good. They just haven't looked like they're getting anything together. Now, granted, they've had two unlucky situations where Teddy Bridgewater just didn't look ready against the Bengals, and then this week he got hurt early in the game, so they had to put Skylar Thompson out there. And I really don't think, like, for the rest of from what he did in the game against the Jets, I just don't think he's really going to be able to pull out much against the Vikings. I think the Vikings just have too high-powered of an offense. They're very good on both sides of the ball. Skylar Thompson just does not look ready to play NFL football. He may he may prove me wrong this week, but no, man, that guy looked abysmal. The Dolphins just looked all out of whack. I don't know if it gets any better. I think they really need to wait for Tua to come back. So I got the Vikings definitely winning this one 34 to, I'd say 21. I was going to say 17, but that's too much. I say 34 to 21. The Vikings definitely give up points at some point. All right, so next up we got the Bengals versus the Saints. And look, the Bengals are showing to have that Super Bowl hangover that people did expect them to have. And hopefully it gets better in this week. And honestly, on top of the Super Bowl hangover, Jamar Chase is having what a lot would call a sophomore slump. He is the 17th ranked overall receiver on ESPN, but he could do a lot better than that. He knows that. We know that. And I think he has a bounce back week this week, especially against Marshawn Lattimore, who is known to just, he be locked in on some plays and then gives up big plays on the other. But look, I think the Bengals bounce back in a very much needed way this week. They didn't have T. Higgins against the Ravens. He's probably going to play this week, at least if he does. That's a Bengals win for me. That's all I need to know for them to win this game. The offensive line does have to get better. I don't think it does. I think their chemistry is just all out of whack. It's all out of sorts. Joe Mixon is trying to get these guys to get it together, but it's not really working. He's not able to run behind these guys. So I think there's going to be a lot of air raid attack this week with the Bengals and Saints. I think a lot of balls are just going to be thrown at all over the place, and I think a lot of yardage is going to go up. It's going to be a pretty high-scoring game, but at the end of the day, I got the Bengals winning this one 30-27. All right, so next up we got the Ravens versus the Giants, and look, the Ravens are 3-2 going against a 4-1 Giants team. And on that Giants sideline, our former defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale, is looking forward to going against Lamar this weekend. I'm looking forward to see what Wink prepares to see how he wants to stop Lamar, man. It's a very interesting matchup. I was honestly looking forward to this matchup once I seen that Wink got hired by the Giants in the offseason. I was looking to see how Wink would prepare for Lamar, man. And I'm really curious to see how this matchup is going to go. I'm smiling a lot because I know we're going to beat the Giants. Granted, I'm going to respect the Giants because they're 4-1. Because look, they're 4-1. I have to respect their record. They have won more games than we have. We need to go in here focused. But we're going into MetLife, and I'm going to quote a Giants fan who is a very close friend of mine. He says that the Giants don't do anything good in MetLife. So I know they said if we was away, we should probably be scared. But no, the Ravens can go into MetLife and definitely win this. I do have to give a fan perspective and a non-biased perspective. So my fan perspective is we're going to walk in and whoop that ass 34-21. My non-biased perspective, look, I just know our defense is getting better, and with Tyus Bowser and Ojabo returning to practice, granted they're probably not going to play this week, but our defense is getting better. Jason Pierre-Paul is absolutely came off the couch and decided to ball out, and that Giants offensive line just can't really handle a lot of pass rush. Granted, our pass rush ain't that special, but I know it's special enough to make Daniel Jones go crazy in that offense and that Giants offensive line. So for all those reasons and more, I got the Ravens winning this one 34-21. It's the same score. My non-biased perspective, I have 34-21. Fan perspective, 34-21. The Ravens can handle business either way. They should handle business, and they will get it done. All right, so look, this is probably the game of the week here. You got the Bills versus the Chiefs. And look, everybody's looking forward to this matchup. If you're a fan of football, if you're a big fan of, NFL, two NFL quarterback studs, this is the game to watch. If you all remember the game last year, the AFC, I think it was the divisional game. Oh, man. That's all probably Josh Allen's thinking about going into this week, man. Those 13 seconds that are haunting him. Those 13 seconds that have been haunting him from last season. Just giving up the game and not even being able to have a chance in overtime. I mean, Josh Allen has been haunted over the entire offseason about that, man. And it's, I'd say, honestly, it's probably about time for him to beat Patrick Mahomes, man. I think their Bills are going to go in here and they're going to beat the Chiefs. Now, are they going to beat them, are they going to beat them like they've beaten a lot of other teams this season? No, they're not going to step on them. This is the Kansas City Chiefs we're talking about. That's Patrick Mahomes on that other side. This is going to be the best football we're going to see all week be played. I am excited for these two offenses to go up against each other. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, I got the Bills pulling this one out 37-34. All right, so next up we got the Niners and the Falcons. And look, the Niners defense is pretty banged up, but essentially the Niners do have enough on both ends to get the job done here. The Falcons, they're playing up until a certain competitive point. They're being as competitive as they possibly can, but look, that is Marcus Mariota on that other end, so y'all need to contain that as much as possible. I understand that the defense is banged up, so that could call for a pretty close competition game here. Jimmy G's really got to step it up on that offensive end, got to put up points. I do think they're able to do that, though. Like I said, this is definitely one of those games where the Falcons could possibly win. I don't know. They could possibly take advantage of this beat-up 49ers defense, but this is the Niners defense we're talking about, one of the best in the league. Granted, we'll see if they can overcome all those injuries. I think they do, though, and I think the Niners get this one done 27-23. All right, so next up we got the Jags versus the Colts. Look, the Colts are coming off a much-needed win against the Broncos, which wasn't that much of it wasn't an impressive win at all, but it was a win that they definitely needed. And now the Jaguars are coming into this game off of a very disappointing performance against the Texans, and each team just needs to keep on building and stacking momentum. The Colts definitely need it more than I think the Jaguars do, just because the Colts have literally had this reputation before going into the season that they were going to be a playoff team, they were going to be this, they were going to be that. There were standards to be met. They have not been met yet, and I think they still have a lot of football to be played to build up to those standards, and I think they can get to it this week, man. Look, the Jaguars just really kind of showed last week that if you contain their offense, if you do enough, like on the defensive end, which the Colts can definitely do, to just contain that offense and make sure they mess up, get in Trevor Lawrence's head, get them confused, you can do enough to win the game, and they probably won't put up that much points. Like I said, the Colts can definitely lose this game. Either team can lose this game. Either team can win this game. This is a divisional game. This is going to be a very close battle, a very close matchup. The reason I'm picking the Colts, though, is just because I think they're going to have enough to get it done. They're just going to have enough. I don't know if Taylor's playing this week. If he is, that's a definite positive on their end. Look, man, I just know Matt Ryan is more skilled, more poised, and the Colts are at home, and he has more of a veteran presence than Trevor Lawrence. If it gets to a close situation, I think Matt Ryan's going to be able to pull that out. It's like I said, it's really a pretty ugly matchup here because I'm not highly confident in either of the two teams. I just think the Colts are supposed to win this game. They are at home. They have to win. They have to keep building momentum. They have to keep everything in status just so they can get healthy and possibly make a nice little playoff run. We'll see. I don't know. Probably not. There'll probably be a first round exit if they do make it. But I do got the Colts winning this one 28-24. All right, so next up we got the Steelers versus the Bucs. And look, if you've seen the Bucs this season, I'm pretty sure this isn't, outlandish to say, but they are definitely giving off the Peyton Manning Broncos last year, or Peyton Manning's last year Broncos team vibes, because they on offense, they just look like they have it together for a couple drives, and then they just lose it for the rest of the game. At least that's exactly what was going on in the Falcons game. I don't know, man. The Bucs aren't having the consistency that they need to, and it's just... am I saying they're going to lose this week? No, not at all, because the Steelers are just not it. They're just not doing it. They're not able to score. It's just looking real ugly. Najee Harris has been a complete bust in fantasy projections. I mean, it's just looking chaotic over there. The reason I've been going for the Steelers is because we've all known that record about Tomlin never going below 500, but it looks like this year that's probably going to happen. The Steelers' schedule is absolute hell for the next 4 or 5 weeks on out, and for the rest of the season it's not really looking good for them either. So they're going to ride with Kenny Pickett for the rest of the season, but he's just going to have to grow and make his mistakes, and I don't really think they're expecting much this season. I think at some point they're probably just going to call it quits and let Kenny just make his mistakes, and they're probably just going to tank for the season. But I got the Bucs winning this one pretty easily, 28-17, and let's hope and the Bucs defense is still good, so let's hope that Kenny Pickett is able to actually score this week against them. Let's find out. All right, so next up we got the Panthers and the Rams. And look, the Panthers are officially calling it quits as far as I'm concerned. They fired Matt Rule, fired their defensive coordinator. And, it's just at this point, it looks like the Panthers are just going to go ahead and call it quit. They're taking calls for all their players, or majority of the guys. Burns, DJ Moore, please DJ Moore to the Ravens. Maybe Christian McCaffrey, who knows, man. I at some point they should probably stop letting Baker play quarterback, but that probably ain't going to happen. They're probably going to let him ride out the rest of the year and just tank as much as they need to. Look, the Rams stink as far as I'm concerned, man. The Rams are having the worst of the Super Bowl hangover, worse than the Bengals are, and they're a Cooper Kupp-led team. The NFL knows that, everybody knows that, and nobody's afraid of these guys, man. Matthew Stafford is looking like Detroit Matthew Stafford. It's just really getting disappointing. Allen Robinson stinks. At this point, I'll blame the scheme and I'll blame Allen Robinson. They both stink. McVay keeps talking about how he wants to get this guy involved, yet I am blatantly looking at Matthew Stafford not even look his way some plays. And then honestly, when he does, it just looks forced. It looks like he's doing it because McVay's yelling in his ear, all right, throw it to Robinson now. It's just not looking like a very steady flow offense. It's not looking like it's not looking like the offense of the past. It's not looking like McVay's offense is in the past few years, if I'm being honest. It's looking very stagnant and just look like it's really dependent on Cooper Kupp. Like, without the Cooper Kupp, I can only imagine how many points this offense would put up. But look, the Rams are playing a tanking team this week. They need to bounce back. They need to put up points. And as far as I'm concerned, they better do all those things, because if they end up, by some odd reason, if they end up losing, because you know how they do with the coach switching. Sometimes when the coach gets fired, the week after the team wins. If that happens to the Rams, I pray you guys are on that bus immediately because y'all are going to get it badly. But I do got the Rams winning this one 31-21. So next up, we got the Cardinals and the Seahawks. Look, one more week. The Cardinals only got one more week until DeAndre Hopkins makes his long-awaited return, man. It's been a long 6 weeks for them. They've been waiting a real long time. It feels like forever for them. But he's finally got one more week. He's about to come back next week. They play a pretty good opponent this week due to the fact that this opponent lets anybody score as many points as they possibly want to. And that's pretty good for the Cardinals because they're definitely going to need a momentum builder going into the next week with DeAndre Hopkins so they can build and make their little playoff run. Look, it's a pretty simple. I mean, it could be a simple pick, but at the same time, Geno Smith has been playing out of his mind, so I would be surprised. I can't lie. I do got the Cardinals winning this pretty easily because they did take the Eagles down to the wire last week, and the Seahawks just don't have enough to stop anybody, man. The Seahawks really cannot get stops. It's really bad on that end. Geno Smith can ball. He'll play out of his mind, but at the end of the day, that Seahawks defense, if you are relying on them to stop somebody, it's not happening. Kyler's little midget ass is going to run his ass all the way to the 40, however long he has to go. Hollywood Brown is going to do yards after catch. They got enough on offense, and they got enough in Cliff Kingsbury to scheme up anything to score on them Seahawks. So I got the Cardinals winning this one 34-24. All right, and for our Sunday night game, look. Who would have thought two NFC East teams would be going into a Sunday night game that would have everybody waiting to find out what the hell's about to happen here? Because you got two undefeated streaks on the line. You got Cooper Rush's undefeated streak as being a starter on the line, and then the Eagles are 5-0. So at the end of the night, one of these teams' undefeated streaks will be, or one of these two undefeated streaks will be broken since it's really a Cooper Rush effort, not really a team thing. But this is where I'm at with this team. First of all, with these teams. First of all, I got to give credit where credit is due. Cooper Rush, you have absolutely been balling out of your mind. Congratulations to you, sir. And I got to give credit to that whole Cowboys defense. It's much more than the three names that I thought it was when it was just Parsons, Lawrence, and Trayvon Diggs. And honestly, I didn't even give Trayvon Diggs as much credit as I should have because that boy's a lockdown ball hawking corner, man. That dude is really playing out of his mind this year. The Cowboys defense in general is playing out of their minds. I'm going to be real with y'all. Man. I really wanted to pick the Eagles here because they're 5-0. And I understand, man. I understand. Am I about to turn into one of them delusional Cowboys fans? The Michael Irvins screaming to the top of my lungs saying the Cowboys going to go into that Philly Stadium Sunday night and whoop that ass? They're not going to whoop that ass, but I do have a strong feeling the Cowboys could pull this one out, man. I don't know. It's just the fact that, the Cardinals took the Eagles down to the wire last week, and that defense and that Cowboys defense is very good to the point where the Cowboys defense does have their hands full, though. They got to contain the run game not only with the running backs, but they got to stop Jalen Hurts as well. And then you got A.J. Brown out there, Devontae Smith, who I actually thinks has a big game this week. And on the opposite end, man, that Eagles defense is absolutely phenomenal. So, it's hard here, man, because this is a really good matchup between two really good teams, man. I mean, these teams are actually showing their asses out all season, and it's hard for me because it's really going to come down to whichever defense can really get that pivotal stop. And if I had to bank on a defense to get a pivotal stop, I'm gonna bank on the Eagles to do it because they got big play Slay over there, man. Like I'm really gonna go ahead and bank on the Eagles defense. I'm hoping I'm right here. It's gonna be a very close game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys won, but I gotta stick with the hot hand here, and I gotta go with the Eagles. I mean, the Cowboys are hot too, but it's more so Cooper Rush's hot streak than the Cowboys. Look, I'm gonna go with the Eagles' hot streak here, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick the Eagles to win this one, 34-31. And for our final game of the Week 6 slate, look, we got the Broncos versus the Chargers. Look, this is a Monday night game, so Russell Wilson will play a lot better than he did last week. But do I expect him to go into LA and win? Hell no. I am not picking Russell Wilson to beat no Chargers, man. That dude has looked absolutely horrible. If he says, let's ride again, I think I might have to hit him with my car because I need him to stop because that's just not working. That's getting very cringy at this point. It's worse than Steph Curry's night celebration, and at least he's actually accumulating wins with that damn celebration. You keep saying, let's ride, and this shit's just getting annoying, Russ. You got to stop it. You really got to just put it all to a halt here, man. You got to go get a win before you can talk about anything riding, any Broncos County, because as far as I'm concerned, that's Futures County. Future owns that goddamn state, man. You are stinking it up over there. I don't know what the hell is going on, but at the end of the day, it's probably not going to get no better because I got the Chargers winning this one. I don't even have to talk about the Chargers. I already know what's going. Look, Egghead is his stock is going up. Keenan Allen, hopefully, he's making his way back to the team. It don't even really matter though. They don't look now. Patrick Surtain on Mike Williams. That is going to be a very pivotal matchup because I think Mike Williams either they really might have to test out the deep ball because any short routes, Surtain is locking that up. So they really gonna have to try that. They're gonna really have to try Mike Williams one-on-one skills and see if he can really win some matchups against Surtain. So that's gonna be a very interesting matchup to see next week if Keenan Allen is not playing. But at the same time, I still got Justin Herbert doing that to these boys, man. Justin Herbert is Justin Herbert at the end of the day. That Chargers offense is electric. The Broncos offense is ass. I mean, J.C. Jackson hasn't been that impressive, but hey, look, Derwin James back there, look, they got enough. They got enough to make the Broncos look bad. At least the Broncos will make them look bad on their own. So, look, I got the Chargers winning this game 27-20. All right, guys, so those are my picks for the Week 6 slate. Look, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think I can continue to ride this hot streak, or do you think most of my picks are going to get me fucked and I'm going to be close to 500 than I think? Let me know in the comments below. But look, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments what your biggest upset of the week is, who your biggest player performance standout will be, what your biggest blowout will be. Let me know in the comments below, guys. Let's get a conversation going. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. This is your guy in the chair. More content coming to you soon.